Exactly how does a zero-fee blockchain work? Are you looking for the answer to that question? Great, my name is Kui and I'm gonna help you figure that out. Have you ever found an application on the internet and you weren't sure if it was gonna solve your particular problem? So you attempt to try the application, but then you're suddenly hit dead stop with a paywall. Would you have tried that application if you were not sure if it was going to solve your particular problem? And that's the main problem with blockchain. Most people aren't going to pay to try something they're not sure if it's going to help them or not. So today, I'm going to explain to you exactly how a zero-fee blockchain works, but I'm going to explain it using the Koinos blockchain. In that project, the engineers had already created a zero-fee blockchain called Steam, except with Steam, there were no smart contracts. So they took smart contracts and zero fees and married them together to create the world's first zero-fee smart contract platform called Koinos. So firstly, what is a fee and how does that impact the user? Fees on blockchain exist for really one purpose. Blockchains are a publicly accessible piece of software, and that means that anyone can submit transactions to the blockchain. This is great for including anyone into this network, but it also causes one problem. Because anyone can submit transactions, it's likely that there are more transactions than the blockchain can handle. And the more requests you have, the longer the wait time it is before your transaction gets picked up by the network. Now, this unbearable wait time that you may face actually leads to a very unpleasant experience and really destroys the point of a blockchain if you can't use it. Fees, however, help manage this transaction volume for a blockchain. As a user, if you're willing to pay a higher transaction fee, that means that your transaction has a higher priority than someone else's. However, this also means that if you're not willing to pay a higher transaction fee, then it's likely that your transaction will be lower on the priority list and it may not be picked up for some time. This is the exact reason why it's such a painful experience to use a blockchain when the activity is really high on the network. This is the basic function of a blockchain fee. So whenever you're talking to someone about a zero-fee blockchain, they will often bring up one of the most common things that they say makes zero-fee blockchains impossible. And that is that fees cover the cost of operation on a blockchain. I want to explain to you that it isn't exactly the way it works. Let's dig deeper into it. Practically every single blockchain pays its miners with new tokens created from inflation. And the idea is that as more people use the blockchain, the network value grows and the token is worth more. So inflating the token supply by a small bit will not harm the ecosystem. It also means that any fees collected by the miner for processing transactions are actually a bonus on top of the inflation rewards that they already get. And this is why mining was extremely lucrative for blockchains when they first came out. People were excited about a new blockchain, and they were excited about mining, and they were also collecting fees from transactions, and this gave them massive profits for running a mining node. However, this really made for a horrible user experience because the people who paid the higher fee were the only people who were able to get the transaction processed. The overwhelming majority of the users had their transactions get stuck on the blockchain because they were not willing to pay some of the outrageous fees that they would experience. People understood this problem and they offered a solution called Ethereum Improvement Proposal, or EIP number 1559. In this proposal, it suggested that a bulk of the transaction fee gets burned so that a miner does not receive it as a reward. Some chains do not employ EIP 1559, but it remains highly popular because people believe that burning tokens is a way to combat the tokens created from inflation given to miners. Now that's one reason why I don't think fees actually support the network. Another reason is, consider the fact that when people pay a fee, they're actually saying that they're willing to pay for something they actually want. So if you're trying to monetize your user base by forcing them to pay a fee, but they have no reason to use your blockchain, does the fee really matter? So unless you have an extreme use case to use blockchain, such as you're speculating on token prices, and you have a lot of money on the line, there aren't that many reasons to use a blockchain in the first place. And this is at the core of the reason why it's so compelling to build a zero-fee blockchain. So let's put aside for a minute our opinions and talk about how a zero-fee blockchain would work hypothetically. Let's say, for example, someone is searching for an application to solve a problem they have. If they find an application and it happens to run on a blockchain, and that blockchain happens to have no fees, then they can use the application without having to figure out how to acquire the token in order to pay for the fees to begin with. And that means they can use the application the moment they find it without having to jump through a lot of the hoops required for someone to convert their fiat currency into a token to pay for gas fees. Another massive benefit to a zero-fee system is that without the need to hold tokens, users don't have to understand how to deal with wallet management. there are a whole host of issues with dealing with wallets, including understanding how to keep and protect your private keys, and also understanding how wallets interact with blockchains. The quicker you make it for a user to find a solution on a blockchain and get them to use the solution, the more likely you are to retain them as a blockchain user. But you have to have applications in order for users to really understand the power of a zero-fee blockchain. If you eliminate fees, you increase accessibility, there are more users, and when there are more users, developers are more likely to create applications that users can actually use and enjoy. And that's why the sooner the developers and users both understand how accessible a zero-fee blockchain is, the sooner we can get applications that we can actually use. It is ironically a very simple concept, and Koinos is a blockchain that is trying this for the first time by merging smart contracts and zero fee together to try to create the world's first truly zero fee smart contract platform. Okay, now that we've gotten that out of the way, exactly how does Koinos achieve this? Let's go back to fees. Whenever a blockchain activity increases, fees tend to increase with it because there are more transactions occurring on the blockchain. By increasing fees, what you're really trying to do is manage transaction volume. As a user, what I'm trying to do is analyzing the cost benefit of submitting a transaction to a blockchain during high usage time. During these high network times, I'm really asking myself two questions. How much am I willing to pay? And how important is it for me to get what I want right now? Because if we can afford the fee, we're really talking about the benefit of the transaction only. But if we can't afford the fee, we're really just dreaming about the transaction and it doesn't really matter to begin with. What this means is that fees are really an opportunity of benefit. Let's say, for example, there's something that we want to buy and it's $15. Some of us will look at the item and say, it's not worth $15, but it's worth an hour of my time. Other people may say, it is worth $15, but it's not worth an hour of my time. This calculation that we all do in our head is intuitive, and it's also referred to as the time value of money. So suppose now you can pay a fee in time rather than money. Because we innately understand the time value of money, we are quickly able to perform the calculation and understand and ask ourselves if that fee is worth it and how much it would take for us to earn that fee back. This is the basic operating principle of a zero-fee blockchain. On the Koinos blockchain, instead of converting the coin token into gas to pay for fees, the coin token is instead locked each time you perform a transaction. When the coin token is locked, it's prevented from being transferred and sold on the open market, but it's also prevented from performing other transactions. Now, the more coin token you have, the more transactions you can perform. This mechanism has the same capability of managing transaction volume that gas fees have, but you don't lose a token in the process. The great thing about this mechanism is that it's already been tested on the Hive blockchain and it's worked wonderfully for many years. The only downfall is that the Hive blockchain did not have smart contracts. When you marry the concept behind zero fees and smart contracts, you get the basic recipe for the Koinos blockchain. All right, that's it for today's video. Thank you. Please like and subscribe. Leave a comment on any questions you have about how a zero fee blockchain works, and I'll do my best to address that specific question in my next video. Thank you.